Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. Here we got part 2 of the best arcade racing games to play on Teknoparrot today. Because a few weeks ago I went over some of my favorite arcade racers that work on Teknoparrot, and I told you guys if you watched the video and you enjoyed it, there might be a part 2. There were a ton of comments asking about games that I left off, and that's because I always had a plan to revisit this. And that's exactly what we're doing today, starting with GTI Club Super Mini Festa, which is basically just a pseudo-remake of the original GTI Club, as well as some of its sequels on a more modern platform. And the best part is, it works absolutely perfectly on Teknoparrot. You can play the game from start to finish. It is one of my favorite arcade racing games of all time, not made by Sega. Before we get far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But Super Mini Festa basically is a rally through different cities, and there's going to be different challenges within each city. We're going to go to London now, and it absolutely just has a completely different feel than the first city you saw there. And I just love this game for what it does. It's fast-paced, plays a little bit like Mario Kart in the sloppy handling in all of the best ways. It even has extra party modes where you can have a tomato fight with cars, almost like the original balloon mode from Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. This game is just straight up fun from start to finish. It has everything you want in an arcade racing game, nothing more and nothing less, and I love the drifting mechanics of all the small cars in this game. Every single course has a ton of different shortcuts, so if you want to get a checkered flag, you're going to have to learn the courses, understand exactly where you can go, and how you can cut your opponents off when you're doing it. It is just one of those games. I find it absolutely perfect, and there really isn't anything whatsoever I would change about it. I'd probably just give it a sequel so we had another game in the franchise. But leave me a comment down below and tell me, have you ever played this game before, or are you learning it for the first time from this video? I would be curious. But I always feel like Konami never gets as much credit as they deserve when it comes to arcade racing games. Sure, Sega and Namco are going to get all of the attention, followed by Atari and Midway, but Konami made a ton of fun games. Thrill Drive, the original GTI Club, some really epic titles that people didn't really play that much. So getting something like GTI Club Super Mini Festa in arcades in like 2010 or so when it came out, and perfectly working on Teknoparrot's an absolutely fun time. It's compatible with wheels and pedals, doesn't take much to set up whatsoever, and you're just going to absolutely love the game if you love a good rally style racer, because there's so many hills, so many twists and turns in this game, so many shortcuts. You think you're going to play it for 15 minutes, and suddenly 20 minutes go by, an hour goes by, and you're absolutely having a blast, and you just continue to sit there and play the game. Then moving over to a completely different type of game, this is Fast and Furious from Raw Thrills, and even though it doesn't have the Cruisin' USA license on it, it basically does just feel like a Cruisin' USA game, and that's because a lot of the same development team made it that made the Cruisin' series. And of course we have the Fast and Furious franchise along for the ride, so it's going to have a little bit of a different visual flair. But if you like Cruisin' USA, World or Exotic, or if you like Cruisin' Blast, then the Fast and the Furious is going to have a metric crap ton of fun for you to be had. I love all the courses, I love the nitrous boost, I love everything about just how ridiculous this racing is. The drifting, the giant jumps, it's basically GTI Club Super Mini Festa except in the Fast and Furious franchise in all of the best ways possible. The only thing is here that the characters did not come over from the actual films, but if you want to imagine they did, next time you see a fiery crash, just imagine you're Paul Walker. It was a very bad joke, I shouldn't have made it, and I'm leaving it in. But honestly, this is why I love Teknoparrot so much. This was a popular arcade cabinet back in the day, and you can still find it some places, but for the most part, it is going to be a little bit rare now, so Teknoparrot's going to keep that dream alive and allow you to continue to play these arcade racing games for years to come. And you know I'm always advocating for more ways to enjoy games, especially on the arcade side of things. And if you played this one, leave me your thoughts down below as well, but I absolutely love it. I'm not the biggest fan of the Fast and Furious movies. They're always fun and spectacle-like, but it's not like I have some sort of deep-seated attachment to them. But I do love a good Midway-style arcade racer, and considering Raw Thrills is basically what became of Midway, you're getting all of that fun and all of that charm in this game. It's 4x3 by default, so you definitely have a little bit of an old-school visual flair going on. I still think it looks incredibly good for its year of release, and the racing and frame rate just 100% hold up. It's action-packed, it's a huge spectacle, and every single time I play the game I end up having an absolute blast and play every single course. But it's time for the first soundtrack sample, and I'll be right back with more.
checkpoint.
Nitrous.
I mean, it's a fun soundtrack, but your mileage may vary depending on whether or not you like the type of music that's in a Fast and Furious movie, and the pun was very much intended with mileage there because we're playing arcade racing games. But this is just straight up arcade perfection. It's fast, it's furious, another pun intended, and I definitely can't recommend enough that you check this one out. It is a metric ton of fun and one you can play on Teknoparrot today. Now moving over to Sega and Sonic All-Stars Racing, yes, this got a home console port, but the arcade version does have some differences, and it's a ton of fun to check out. It's one of those things, just because a game technically got a port home, the arcade version can be different, can be superior, can be inferior, can be a lot of things in between, but it definitely is one that you can just play on Teknoparrot today. And honestly, I think Sega did an amazing job with their developer team getting this over into a Mario Kart style aesthetic. It's so much fun to just kind of race around the world of Sonic the Hedgehog in this first lap here in the Ferrari from OutRun, playing as characters from Virtual Fighter. Some of the things, the combinations are just absolutely wacky, but that's what works about the game. And it is just one of those titles you sit down and you instantaneously have a smile on your face and you're having fun. And that's why I do love arcade racing games, especially now as we get later on in life. We don't have as much time. Sometimes we don't have 40-50 hours to put into a super long RPG, but you do have 20-30 minutes to put into an arcade racing game. And that's why I've always loved this genre. Within 20 to 30 minutes, you feel absolutely fulfilled as far as your gaming needs are concerned. And the fun part is, even though I talk about retro games all the time on the channel, modern arcade games still absolutely enamor me. I love them, and something like Sonic and Sega here just 100% hits. Playing as II from Monkey Ball in the banana cart is just hilarious, and going through Casinopolis Zone here in the game, there's so much visual flair, there's so much charm, everything just works when you're playing this game, and that's why, again, it is one of my favorite Teknoparrot arcade racing games. Even the monkey from Samba de Amigo coming in with his cart here. It's fast, it's fluid, the frame rate is great, so just go ahead and give it a shot, or else if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. And considering these videos are free, that really is a zero consequence statement to me. But moving over back to the Fast and Furious theme, but not technically Fast and Furious, this is R-tuned Ultimate Street Racing from Sega. It's basically their attempt at making a Fast and Furious style game without the movie franchise. So if you can't tell already, there's a little bit of a trend going through this video. But it's basically Sega just playing around with street racing and drifting. I love the drifts in this game. The corners are absolutely sweeping and massive, so you can really just throw your car into a corner, drift the ever-loving hell out of it, let the ass under the car just break free and do your best and not hit the wall. When you're playing this game and when you're playing it well and everything's clicking, it's got such a great sensation of speed, because of course you get the turbo boost as well. You're going to be going some insane speeds there, almost 260 kilometers per hour. I love the neon in the cityscape. I love all of the ground effects on the car. I never have them on my car in real life, but seeing them in a game really does help to see what's ahead of you, especially on your opponent's side of things. R-tuned is just one of those titles that didn't really hit for Sega. I never hear that many people mentioning it whatsoever, but it is another fun game that I can't recommend enough. But tell me down below if you ever saw an arcade cabinet and played this back in the day. And trust me, if you screw up, you can crash. It does happen to me all the time. But I'm going to do one more soundtrack sample so you can hear what Sega's take on the Fast and the Furious style music was, and I'll be right back. I'd have to say Sega wins the contest in Fast and Furious style music versus Raw Thrills with the actual Fast and Furious, but again, Sega has so much more experience making some of the best arcade music of all time, you really can't go wrong with any of their tracks. But if this looks appealing to you whatsoever, definitely give it a shot. I love the drifting in this game, it feels so natural, and I just love all of the buildings, all of the neons, and the overall aesthetic in the game. It is not one of Sega's best racing games, it's definitely a tier back, but honestly, Sega made so many incredible racing games, even their B tier is still better than most. Now moving over to one more game, again that seems like the Fast and Furious. This is Dead Heat from Namco. So we have Raw Thrills, we have Sega, and we have Namco all playing around with that Fast and Furious style drifting. So I kind of saved these for the same video since this is just more fun in Teknoparrot. It's one of those things. I just love arcade racing games, and Namco always makes a great one as well. Obviously the Ridge Racer, and then Wangan Maximum Midnight Tuned. But having Dead Heat here, it's just another fun title. Definitely a tier back from Namco's best, just like R-Tuned was for Sega. But again, they're such good developers, it doesn't really matter. And I love that this game has a very over-the-top arcade feel. Not as arcadey as the Fast and Furious from Roth Hills, but you still get to drive through a mall, through a tunnel here, and then jump out the other end back onto the street. Not sure who the architect of the city is, that would be very ill-advised in real life, but in an arcade racing game, it just works. And I love that there's even the Christmas tree there, basically at New York City. It's just such a fun thing. You go through neighborhoods, and it has Chicago in it, and any game where I can race through Chicago, I absolutely love it. We're on Lakeshore Drive here. There's the one tower to the left that was just past the actual lake, and then you have Museum Campus. It does condense down Chicago completely. None of these roads are technically in the right spot as to where they should be, but I still love seeing the city I've lived in for over 15 years rendered in a video game, and honestly, this is how I wish I could drive in Chicago. And that black building to the right there that you can see, I worked in that for 2 years. It's called the AMA Tower, so it's fun just to see stuff like that. But outside of just talking about Chicago where I used to work, this game is just fast-paced with some awesome drifting, some fun real-world locations, and more good arcade racing that you can play on Teknoparrot. I know you guys are enjoying these series, so if there is another genre of games you want to see, best X games on Teknoparrot, just leave me a comment down below, whether that's light gun games, action games, platformers, stuff like that, because you guys have been enjoying these lists, and they are fun for me to make as well, because honestly, at the end of the day, if I convince you to play some new awesome arcade games, that's all I ever want. I want to keep the arcade dream alive, even if at least in North America it does seem to be dying a little bit more every day, which just bums me out. But that's the list here for part 3. If you enjoy it, leave me a comment down below and suggest some more lists for Teknoparrot, and you might just see it on the channel. But we're done. I'm going to keep racing. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.